Who controls intelligence? There's a question nobody's really asking right now. Not seriously, not deeply. Everyone is asking, is AI dangerous? Will AI take jobs? Will AI become conscious? But that's not the real question. The real question is, who controls intelligence? Because that's where power is. Not in the technology itself, but in who builds it, who trains it, who decide what it says and what it doesn't say. And once you see that, you start looking at AI very differently. Let's break this down. AI doesn't just appear. It doesn't grow naturally like a human mind. It is trained, designed, shaped. Every data set it learns from, every rule it follows, every boundary it has, someone put that there. So when you ask an AI a question, you are not just getting an answer. You're getting an answer that passed through layers of decisions. Decisions made by people you have never met. And that should make you pause. Because intelligence is no longer just something you develop yourself. It's something you can access instantly. And that means it can also be filtered. Now think about that. If millions of people are using AI to learn, think, make decision, then whoever shapes that AI is indirectly shaping how people think. Not controlling, but influencing. And influence at scale is power. This isn't a conspiracy. This is structure. Every system has constraints. Every platform has rules. Every tool has limits. The difference with AI is it feels natural. It feels pure intelligence. But it's not. It's guided intelligence. And that guidance matters because most people won't question it. If something sounds intelligent, people trust it. If someone or something responds confidently, people accept it. And over time, that trust becomes reliance. Now, here's where it gets deeper. AI doesn't just answer questions, it shapes how questions are asked. If you rely on it long enough, your thinking starts to adapt to it. You start framing ideas differently. You start simplifying complex thoughts. You start expecting instant answers. And slowly, your natural thinking process changes. Not dramatically, but subtly. And subtle changes are the most powerful ones because you don't notice them. Now, zoom out. Imagine millions of people thinking this way: faster, more efficient, but less independent. That's the shift. Not loss of intelligence, but change in how intelligence is used. And the question becomes, is that a good thing? Because efficiency it is not always the goal. Sometimes struggle is necessary. Sometimes slow thinking is where clarity comes from. Sometimes not knowing is what forces you to grow. But AI removes friction, and friction is where depth is built. So now we are in a world where answers are instant, thinking is optional, and clarity is assumed. But real clarity doesn't come from speed, it comes from depth, and depth takes time. So here's the tension: AI gives you power, but it can also reduce effort. And if you're not careful, you trade depth for speed, understanding for convenience, and independence for guidance. Now let's go back to control. Because control doesn't mean someone is sitting behind a screen deciding what you think. It's more subtle than that. Control is what information is available, what is prioritized, what is filtered out. Even small biases at scale becomes powerful because most people won't cross check. They will accept. And once acceptance becomes automatic, thinking becomes passive. That's the real risk. Now that AI replaces humans, but that humans stop fully using their own intelligence. Now, here's the flip side. This can also go the other way. If you are aware of this, if you question, if you use AI as a tool instead of a source of truth, you become more powerful because now you have speed, access, scale, but you still keep judgment, awareness, independent thinking, and that combination is rare. And that's where real advantage is. So maybe the goal isn't to avoid AI. Maybe the goal is to use it without losing yourself, to think with it, but not think like it, to use it to explore, but not to replace your reasoning. Because intelligence isn't just about answers, it's about how you arrive at them. And that process, that internal process, that's still yours, unless you give it away. So again, we come back to the question, who controls intelligence? Because the answer isn't just companies, developers, or systems, it's also you. Every time you choose to question, to think, to go deeper, you take control back. And every time you don't, you give a little bit away. Not all at once, but over time. And that's how shifts happen quietly, gradually, until one day the way people think is no longer the same. That's the moment we are entering. And most people won't realize it. But you can. And once you do, you move differently. You question more, you rely less, you think deeper, and in a world full of artificial intelligence, that becomes your real advantage.